And away we go. It is the BCJ podcast right here on BearcatJournal.com. As always, make sure you're stopping down at the Banks. Almost baseball season. Nice weather. Dora, get yourself down to the Holy Grail and support our good friends and longtime sponsors at the Holy Grail at the Banks. They will get you taken care of. Great food, a lot of cold drinks, a lot of enjoyable times had at the Holy Grail. So make sure when you are down that way, you are stopping by and support the people that support Bearcat Journal. All right, let's get this show on the road. We have a special guest tonight. This is one that Dave Simone has been looking forward to for a long time, and I always love a good chance to catch up with my guy Doug as well. We are joined by Cincinnati's head golf coach, the man David Simone claims is the best coach in the Linder Center.
Athletically,
David, I appreciate that.
most storied career that I'm not sure a lot of our listeners quite know the details about.
Well, a lot of that golf
He's blushing already.
Years ago.
Hey, it still happened, man.
Yes, it did. It did happen. I had a tremendous time playing this game, and unfortunately, back injury kind of set me back. But what I'm doing now, I probably wouldn't exchange any of my golf for what I'm doing right now. I really love coaching this team. I love being an ambassador for the University of Cincinnati, its golf program and athletic department, and just very fortunate to have a great program here at Cincinnati.
But we're going to get into all the fun details as we go here. But first off, just for the people that don't know, for the people that maybe are wanting to get a little bit more interested in the UC golf team, tell them a little about yourself and how you ended up at UC and how you've built this program into one that is ready for a very big year in 2023.
Well, really, going back all the way to my junior golf career, I was blessed to have a great junior golf career. I was the number one ranked junior in the country. Was basically recruited by every golf program in the country. Was fortunate enough to go to the University of Oklahoma. And at the time I chose Oklahoma was kind of an up and coming program and really hadn't had great success on the national level, but a couple guys that were older than me that I'd played some junior golf with kind of interested me in going to Oklahoma. We ended up finishing third, second, first my 4 years in the NCAA championship, winning it my senior year. Just was an unbelievable experience there. I'm a huge sports fan, and back in the late 80s with Billy Tubbs coaching the basketball team and Barry Switzer coaching the football team, we had the hell of a run in football and basketball and also as well in golf. And once I finished up at Oklahoma, I went on to play the PGA Tour for 9-10 years, retired in 2001 with a back injury, and really had been living in Cincinnati when I played on the PGA Tour. Love the town of Cincinnati. It's a great place to raise a family, and I really enjoy the seasonal changes, and the opportunity came available to start working with the men's golf program and taking it over. We were somewhere ranked 240 to 260 in the country, and I think there's 300 men's golf teams. Really, the program is not in a very good place. When I took the job, I made a commitment to try to make this a program that people in our community and people at the university could be proud of. And, here we are 17 years later. And after we finished the fall season, we were ranked 29th in the country. To go from where we were to where we are now has been a tremendous amount of work, but I wouldn't trade the time that I've had working on this for anything.
You glossed over a little bit of the career. I mean, you were the number one amateur player in the country in 1989.
Yep.
5 individual titles at Oklahoma. Finished second to some guy named Phil Mickelson in the NCAA championships. Like, yes, you played on a good team, but you were a very, very good player yourself on that team.
Well, I understand that, and I'm very humble, and I'm very grateful for everything that I've accomplished in the game. And so it's been so long ago since I've done those things, I've probably forgotten a lot of it.
Well, I just felt like, people need to know, we hear a lot about usually, the basketball or football coach and their athletic endeavors, but yours is right up there. And I think, being in those situations probably is a big help when you coach kids that are trying to get to that same level. There's a lot of experience you can impart on them.
Well, there's no question, and I will tell you, it's one of the things that I've used in the recruiting process in trying to get kids to come to Cincinnati. Is when I went to Oklahoma, yeah, they were a top 25, top 30 program in the country, but they weren't contending for national championships. Oklahoma State, Texas, and some of these other schools that I visited, they were already there. And I just really felt like I wanted to be a part of something that was being built. And I've sold this to a lot of recruits, and we're finally starting to cash in on some of these young players. And even with the success that we had in the fall, we are extremely young as a program, extremely young.
So let's start there. In college golf, there's a fall and spring season. You mentioned earlier you got up to as high as 29th golf week, golf stat rankings, which I'm going to assume that's by far the highest the program's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
Won 2 events, one in Tennessee, won the Bearcat Invitational. And I can't go without saying that you beat Xavier by 45 strokes in the Bearcat Invitational. So, good job there. But just kind of the fall season, how you thought the guys did, and kind of where you're looking to go now moving into the spring with the success that you guys had, in September and October.
I think it all starts with, our 3 upperclassmen. 2 of them are contributing on the golf course in Sam Jean and Ty Gingrich. The foundation and how they played the entire fall semester just gave us 2 guys that you could count on every single day. And then the third member is Cole Harris, who will be graduating this spring, has been a tremendous leader and really has been a guy that really helped welcome our freshmen to our program. And I'm not taking anything away from Ty and Sam, but Cole has really taken the responsibility of really helping these freshmen. But, looking back on the fall, starting off, we go to Wisconsin, our first tournament, the first round gets rained out. We've got a senior, we've got a junior, we've got a sophomore, and 2 freshmen in the starting lineup. So as a coach, it's like, okay, what are we going to expect here? And, hard to believe, but in early September, the weather was just absolutely miserable in Madison. And the conditions were extremely cold, tough, windy. We ended up finishing, I think, 5th, 6th, something like that, tying Ole Miss and South Carolina and Marquette. And it was just, anytime you play a shortened tournament where you play 36 instead of the 54 holes, the field becomes very condensed. And that was obviously a concern starting off. And then I think after that we went to, did we come back and have the Bearcat, or did we go to Wake?
Yeah, I think you went Bearcat then.
Bearcat, then Wake. And, anytime you come home and you play on your home turf, golf is such a fickle game. Even though you're playing on your home turf, sometimes it isn't always an advantage. But the golf course was set up fantastic. Coldstream is such a great venue. Ty and Sam both had an unbelievable back 9. I think they shot 4 and 5 under respectively on the back 9. Closed out the deal. First time we've won our home tournament at Coldstream. Huge momentum for us. And then after that, we went to Winston-Salem and played Wake Forest at Wake Forest. Again, I think it was a 5th, 6th finish. Pretty solid. Left a lot out there, I thought. A little bit of a disappointing week coming off the victory. But then we went down to East Tennessee, Johnson City, another place that we've never played before. And East Tennessee State has a great golf program, and they're extremely difficult to beat on their home golf course. And we went down and played really pretty solid the first 2 rounds. Didn't do a whole lot with it, but we were in position. I think there were 3 teams that were tied for the lead, and I think we were in 4th. And so we didn't play in the last group. So I talked to the guys about going out and getting off to a fast start. And, that golf course, the first 5, 6 holes, you could get off to a fast start. And sure enough, our guys got off really fast. And, with all the coaches having, the live scoring on their phones, they were able to see, us making a move from the backside. And once we got the lead, we never relinquished the lead and just really finished the tournament strong. I remember Wyatt Plattner hitting a great shot into 18, Ty Gingrich birding 17, which is probably the hardest hole on the golf course. So we really finished that tournament extremely strong. And then to close out the fall, we went down to Quail Valley in Florida with a great field, a lot of really, really good teams there. Played pretty solid for the first 36 holes, but really were, not we were kind of in the middle of the field. I think we were 13 under for the first 36 holes and really were just, trying to figure out a way how we could play well in the last round. And we had William McDonald and Rylan Wotherspoon. William's a transfer from Arkansas, who's a sophomore, and Rylan's from Northern Kentucky. He's a freshman. They kind of paved the way for us. We shot 17 under in the last round. Ended up, I think, losing to North Florida. Can't remember who else we lost to.
Michigan State.
Michigan State.
I was looking at your guys' scores. You shot 271, which is awesome, and then they shot 265. I was like, holy crap.
No, it was crazy. So they came from back to back, but that was a great week for us. We beat a lot of really good teams. Closing the fall, shooting 17 under in your last round of the semester was great. And so, that was really just a great way to finish out the fall season and finish a tournament the way we finished it. And, it's kind of springboarding us into the spring semester. We have had an unbelievable off season. We had guys that played in tournaments all through the winter, which was great, keeping them fresh. We have had the ability to take 3 practice trips between the end of January and right now. And I think our guys are sharp, and I think they're ready to go. We haven't competed in roughly a month and a half to 2 months, so there's going to be some rust there, probably just getting back into the competitive mode. But our spring schedule is set up extremely well for us. We play 71 teams this spring. I think 56 of those teams are ranked in the top 100, and I think 40 of those teams are ranked in the top 70. So we've got a great schedule. We get to play Vanderbilt, who's the number 1 team in the country right now. Auburn's number 2 in the country. We get to see them twice. We see Tennessee, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Really have a tremendous schedule in front of us for this spring.
You mentioned Sam and Ty kind of being your stalwarts, and those guys had an incredible fall, both stroke averages in 69 and both top, Sam's top 40 player in the nation, Ty's top 60. Like, what does that do for your team as just a whole when you have 2 guys, you're putting 5 out there, you're taking 4 scores, and just you have 2 guys that you kind of, for the most part, you have just uber confidence that they're going to post something really good and let the other guys kind of feed off of that.
Yeah, well, I think when you're looking at those 2 guys, you've got one guy that's in his 5th year in the program and one that's in his 4th year in the program. One of the things that our program really has been about is the development of players over the course of their career. I kind of look back to what Mick did when Mick was here. I think of Trey Scott when Trey Scott walked on campus. I mean, he couldn't shoot a free throw above the rim. He shot it underneath the rim. And just that's kind of what I've kind of taken on our program, to where our goal is to really have our guys playing their best golf of their career as they're finishing up here, which then that gives them an opportunity to decide if they want to play the game professionally. And we've got a bunch of guys that have moved on and are trying to play the game professionally, which that's an extremely hard path to follow. But I'm just grateful that we have a lot of guys doing that. But, back to Sam and Ty, they've been great role models for our young guys, because every single day they bring it to practice, whether we're conditioning with Hong Tran, our trainer, or we're at Coldstream practicing. they bring energy every single day. And they've been a great role model for our younger guys to really look up to and learn. And those two have been amongst a lot of other players, but those two have done a tremendous job in helping me build the culture we currently have.
When you go into golf recruiting, we know a lot about football recruiting and basketball recruiting, and you have all these camps in the summer, and whether it's AAU or on the football side, how does that work for golf? Are you going to big amateur events? Are you going to see guys playing in high school? Like, how do you and your assistant kind of handle recruiting your players?
Yeah, primarily we do the majority of our recruiting in the summer. So there's the American Junior Golf Association, the AJGA, is the biggest junior golf organization in the country. And they have, once you get to about April, they have 3 or 4 tournaments every single week spread out around the country. And so we initially start with a database of players that we kind of start with: Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, Florida, Texas, Georgia. We kind of look at different places here. North Carolina is another place. And we kind of collect a database of roughly 100 players. And then we follow those players and we get updates to our phone whenever they're playing in a tournament. And so not only do we follow their scores, we follow their national ranking, we follow their trending. And once we kind of establish that group of 25 that we really focus in on and go out and we start to watch. And really what we're watching is, does this player fit what we're doing? How are they fundamentally? Do they have a good golf swing? Do they have a good short game? How do they handle themselves on the golf course? So we're really focusing in on doing a whole package. Then we have them in for a visit, and we have an opportunity to talk to them and their parents. And recruiting golfers, the level of these kids that we're bringing in is just crazy. And I've kept a list of the kids that we've recruited that have gone other places. And you've got an Austin Greaser was basically down to us in North Carolina. He just finished. He lost in the finals of the U.S. Amateur a couple of years ago to James Piot. Will Grimmer, Daniel Wederick. There's a bunch of kids that we've recruited that have gone on to play other places. And I think we're starting to trend in an area to where it's like these kids can see themselves being really successful here. Moving to the Big 12 is going to only help us with our recruiting. We're already seeing that. We're in a position with a couple kids right now, one from Florida and one from New Jersey that we really like in the 24 class, that really, to think that we could get a Florida kid to come to Cincinnati, and we got our first one in Wyatt Plattner. And Wyatt Plattner is going to be a freak before he's done here.
I was going to get to it, but you brought up the Big 12. They have 5 teams in the top 25 right now, have perennially been one of the best golf conferences in the country. Just from your guys' standpoint, obviously, you don't play the Big 12 teams kind of like football, basketball, but just what does that do for you guys as a whole now moving into the conference?
Well, I think the first thing when you just look at our current conference in the American Athletic Conference. The American Athletic Conference is a great golf conference with South Florida, Central Florida, SMU, Memphis, and us. Pretty much has been the foundation of the conference. And as it is in the AAC, moving into the Big 12, one of the things that with the Big 12 is part of the reason the conference is so good is because the teams are coached so well. They have some of the best coaches in the country coaching Big 12 schools, along with the SEC. The SEC and the Big 12 are your 2 best golf conferences, period. There's not even any debate out there. And so, I'm excited because, as the golf team does, so does everybody else in the building. They've got to raise their bar. And it's people and coaches that want to win and are willing to roll up their sleeves and get dirty. And that's really kind of the motto that I've taken and kind of our kids have taken. And, I've talked to them about not being afraid, not having fear of playing anyone. And so it's an awfully exciting time, really, to be honest.
golf more than any other sport is mental. Obviously, you have to be physically talented, but there's a mental side of it that, because it's you against the course, that's really difficult. As a golf coach, how do you balance that, the mental side of it coupled with the physical side, obviously working on swing and working on putting and the things that but there's got to be another side to it as well that's just getting kids ready for that mental side of it.
Yeah, once you get to a certain point in golf from a physical standpoint to where you're learning and have developed all the shots, the biggest thing with the mental part of golf is having the ability to get to the next shot and forget about what just happened. You know, you look at the best shooters in basketball, the best hitters in baseball, the best quarterbacks in football. If they throw an interception, miss a shot, or strike out, they're looking forward to the next time at bat, the next shot, the next pass. And that's kind of the same mentality that there is in golf, is you can't dwell on the past because you can't change it. And we really focus in on, you know, our emotions, how we handle adversity. You know, I talk to the guys all the time that when you start your round, if you aren't expecting adversity, it's going to come at you hard and you aren't going to be ready for it. So we're always expecting it. And I look at adversity in golf is you have a kid that bogeys his first 4 holes or birdies his first 4 holes. They're both adversity from the standpoint of, like, you birdie the first 4 holes, it's like, oh, I'm on my way to a career round. Or you bogey the first 4 holes and it's like, wow, this isn't the way I wanted to start the round or start the tournament. So we are blessed to, I think, one of the unique things in our program is my assistant coach, Austin Frick. He got his master's at Tennessee in sports psychology. He has the textbook, kind of the approach to give these kids from a textbook standpoint. And he also was a good player at Francis Marion. Personally, myself, I don't have the textbook knowledge. I have the experience. I have the experience of hitting shots that meant a lot, both from a money standpoint on the PGA Tour. I remember I hit the first tee shot in the Walker Cup for our team. I don't think I could have ever been prepared for that situation. And, you know, you stand on the first tee and it's like, okay, this isn't about Doug Martin. This is about I'm representing our country. And that kind of was an overwhelming situation. Fortunately, I hit a great shot. But, you know, golf brings you so many different challenges in the sense also you don't have a teammate to rely on. You're out there on an island by yourself, and you're either executing and playing well or you're grinding your ass off to shoot a score. So the mental challenges, Chad, are they're there. They're there. And even Sam Jean, who's been a great player in our program, he continues to work on his mental part of his game, and it's something that is extremely challenging for him. And, you know, not that he's, you know, misbehaves on the golf course, but just the things that go through his head, being as good as he is, really shouldn't enter his head.
So you've been at UC 14 years. What's the biggest changes you've seen collegiately in the sport and just in the progression of UC golf from when you started to now?
Yep. I think the biggest thing that you're seeing now is the athleticism of some of these kids. I mean, it is, you know, you look across the landscape of college golf and you look at the kids that have played multiple sports in high school. That's something that my assistant Austin and I are looking at when we're recruiting, is we're looking at kids that have played multiple sports. You know, the Wyatt Plattner from Florida, he was a catcher, a quarterback, and a golfer. And William McDonald, who transferred from Arkansas, he was an all-state basketball player. Sam Jean was a soccer player. Ty Gingrich played baseball and basketball. So we're starting to recruit not only good players, but also great athletes. So that's the biggest thing right now. And with that athleticism in golf, swing speed and distance that these kids are hitting the ball right now is absolutely mind-boggling. I can't even fathom, you know, just even when we're out at Coldstream, we're out at Traditions playing, and I look at where some of these guys hit the ball, and it's mind-boggling to me to see the speed. I mean, we've got, we've got 2 guys right now. Probably we've got 3 guys right now in excess of 120 swing speed, which is probably 174 to 178 ball speed, which is just it's absolutely crazy. So that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing to me that I've seen change in college golf, along with just there's more good players. There's more good players. As far as Cincinnati goes, I think it's just been people in the building, people in the administration that have seen my work ethic, seen my passion for golf. I love the basketball program. I spend a lot of time watching mixed practices. Spend a lot of time watching Wes's practices. I learn from those guys. We coach different sports. I can't get after my kids like Wes or Mick and other but it's learning how they handle the players every single day. And watching Mick when Mick was here and watching Wes when he's here now, those players walk off the court each day and, they may be pissed certain days, but at days in, they love and respect their coach. And that's something that I value with my players. But internally, the continued support and administrators who have the vision that I have, that's what's really changed. And that's where we are right now. I can't even begin to tell you how grateful I am to have John Cunningham. He has been unbelievable to my program. He follows our team. I get texts from him as soon as we finish rounds and tournaments. It's been amazing to have someone with all the things that are on his plate now, for him to follow us as close as he follows us really means a lot.
You weren't allowed to go to practices for 2 years either, huh?
There you go. I actually got kicked out of one of Mick's practices. I know you weren't there, but Hep and I got kicked out one day.
I remember hearing stories about that.
It was absolutely priceless.
There was one day that somebody said the one word that you're not allowed to say.
Yep.
At a Mick Cronin practice, and you know what it is, same as I do.
Yep.
And he went off for like 2 hours, and me, Hep, and Marvin. You remember Marvin?
Yes, I remember Marvin. Yeah.
Marvin didn't move real well. We had to like slink down the wall to the door to get out.
It's priceless. His practices were some of the greatest entertainment you could ever watch.
It was great. And then for those that don't know, that's really how I got to know Doug.
Yeah.
Was sitting at mixed practices and just kind of getting to know each other and watching and learning. Why basketball? Has that always just been a passion of yours?
I played high school basketball. I was my dad's point guard. My dad was a very successful high school basketball coach in Ohio, up in Northwest Ohio. Coached at a small school. We played in the state championship my senior year. Really had I think I lost 5 games as his starting point guard in high school basketball. But I love the game of basketball. I love the strategy. I love the dynamics. I like going to Mix and Wes's practices to watch what they were going to do for the game. And then whether I'm at the game or watching it on TV, I want to see their execution. And I want to see how the kids respond to, the other team making changes, just like in golf. Execution is one of the most important parts in our game. We have a game plan every time we go out to play. Can you execute the game plan? It's the same in golf as it is in other sports. But I love the game of basketball. I love Coach Miller. I love Coach Cronin. I think they both really, obviously, Mick, unbelievable career. And I think only good things are going to come for Wes. I really believe that.
So you guys get things started next week in Puerto Rico for the spring season. You are the highest ranked AAC team currently. I assume your goals are win the AAC championship and try to qualify for the NCAA tournament. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think we've kind of I'm a day-to-day guy, and our whole message really when we started in the fall was let's get better every day. Let's find a way to, when we leave practice or we leave a tournament, we're getting better. And that's going to be our mantra the whole semester. We really have play with confidence, trust yourself, and believe in your teammates. Those are three things that are really powerful for us this semester. And I think we've had a great off season in preparation. I'm ready to get started. But again, we're going to play one shot, one hole at a time, see where we finish each week and move on. But we certainly have the talent. We certainly have the mindset and the mentality to really have a good spring.
So you start in a pretty good field this next week. Auburn's number 2 in the country. UVA's 8. Duke's 32nd. You guys are 34th. When you're going into a tournament like that and you play your practice rounds, are you kind of scouting the course and saying, like, the weather looks good, we need to be ultra aggressive and try to make as many birdies as we can? Or are you saying, like, this is a harder course?
Yeah,
we might have to play a little bit more conservative the first round to see how it goes. Like,
yeah, the wind's going to blow here, so we already know that the wind's going to blow. The par fives are scores that we're going to. If we have a good week on the par fives, I think we'll have a chance to win the golf tournament come Tuesday afternoon. It's certainly this is our first time being here, but all of my pre-tournament prep and looking at the golf course, trying to figure out our game plan, it all leads me to we have to play the par fives extremely well. And, that's something that's a constant focus with us. But, we're most concerned, when you're playing an opponent in another sport, your opponent's making adjustments, you're making adjustments. In golf, it's really you're playing the course and you're playing yourself. You're not really playing an opponent, because the ebbs and flows in golf, you're not playing an opponent, you're playing yourself and playing the course. So we really focus in on controlling the things that we control, and that's ourself.
You mentioned earlier playing out at Coldstream. How you have an unbelievable practice facility there. You now have some practice facilities indoor on campus. How much, and I know this from following college golf, and I think, I tried out for the team as a walk-on at Tennessee my freshman year several years ago, and it went about as well as my entire freshman year did, if you can imagine. But the type of player that enters college golf now is just so much different even than when I was trying to make, to play. And how much of just the training and the facilities and just all of that background stuff has totally just elevated the sport, even in, the last decade or so.
No question. And, I always believe that a facility doesn't make a player makes a facility. And so it's what you do with the facility that makes you become the player. Like back in the 80s when I was playing collegiate golf, there were no Taj Mahals like Vanderbilt, Alabama. The majority of the SEC schools have. A lot of the big – those were non-existent. You had to go out, dig in the dirt, get dirty, and hit balls. And, again, I tell the guys on my team, every single practice shot or practice ball I hit at the University of Oklahoma, I picked up by hand. We didn't have a driving range where we hit balls and someone else picked them up. And – that's how time has changed. And, it's what you do with the facility that you have. In Coldstream, both Coldstream and Traditions provide us unbelievable course setups to where we can get better. And we use both of those courses to the best of our ability to put our kids in challenging situations to prepare them for competition.
You also let's talk about indoor.
Yep.
The simulator stuff.
Yep.
How much has that changed your process, and how realistic has it gotten to playing a real round?
We're in the process right now of completing a facility about 2.5 miles from campus, an indoor office space of about 7,000, 8,000 square feet that's going to have 4 simulators, about 3,000 square foot putting, some putt view technology, nutrition center, recovery room, team meeting room. It's going to be it's going to be a game changer for our program. But to answer your questions about the simulators, TrackMan is the simulator that we use, and they have it to the point now to where they have a back end that we can access as coaches and provide a practice for these kids to execute and work on shots that maybe they're struggling with. So the indoor piece has been incredible. There's a lot of tour players that live in Florida that when they come off tour and it's in June and July, it's not really feasible to practice in Florida at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon in June or July because of the heat. These guys have put these indoor simulators in their house, and that's where they're practicing. And, the TrackMan technology so good and it's so accurate that so I think it's great. And what we're doing now, and when this facility is completed in early June, it's going to be a game changer for us as well.
So we do have a question in the chat about equipment, and the guys use their own equipment, but like what kind of do you guys have? Do you have deals with Under Armour, Titleist,
Yes,
TaylorMade? Does that work? Is that how it works in college?
I was a Titleist guy all through college, all through the PGA Tour. We're pretty much a Titleist program. I think we have 8 of our 10 players on our current roster are using the new Titleist driver. 2 guys are using Ping. I think we have 8 guys using Titleist irons and Vokey wedges, and 1 guy using Ping and 1 guy using Callaway irons. We play the Titleist ball. It's the best ball in golf. They treat us great. We have 2 guys each fall that come in from that work with guys on the PGA Tour, and they come in and they fit our guys in all of the newest technology. And so our guys are playing the best stuff. It's fit for them. Couldn't be a better situation.
Well, make sure you let Chad know when that is, and I'll buzz
Okay.
I'll buzz on down there.
Okay.
Maybe
all right.
maybe I can just get a head cover and a towel or something. But
absolutely,
just for the sake of coverage, right, Dave?
I mean it's all for content.
Absolutely.
Like you can set me up on TrackMan, and all your guys can laugh at my slow swing speed and ball speed. Kind of an inside golf thing though, and that the TrackMan is an amazing thing. But how do you get guys to also stay in the mindset of like playing golf and not playing the numbers and not getting so minute into like my ball speed is a half a mile per hour? Like, because you see that a lot anymore. Like everybody has the TrackMan set up on the range, and it's like, are we playing numbers or are we playing golf?
Well, and a lot of, like, for example, this time of year for us. So what we will do in our practices is I will take each individual player, and it's very time consuming for me, but very beneficial for the players. So I'll have them hit their 60-degree wedge, 56, 52, pitch, 9, 8, 7 iron. And I'll probably have them hit 10 shots with each club. And I want them to tell me, okay, I hit my 60-degree yards, I carry it 80 yards. And so I'll have them hit 10 shots trying to hit it 80 yards. And I'm jotting down each shot that the ball carries. And then we go to 56. They hit 10 shots with 56. Say they hit their 56, 95 yards. That's what their carry is. So we're always talking carry yards. We aren't paying so much of attention to path and face. We do more swing mechanics outside of the season. We're more doing tracking yardages because, again, when you're playing golf versus practicing, when you're playing, every single shot has a number that you're trying to hit it. You may have 175 yards to the flag tucked over a bunker. You got to carry it 164 to get over the bunker. Our guys are going to know that's probably a 168 to a 169 shot. If there's no wind, well, they already know what club that is because of the work that we do with TrackMan on tracking numbers. So we don't have guys on our team really. Maybe Sam Jean is probably the one guy that plays swing, but he's a 4.0 engineer, and he's very, very detailed in everything that he does. he's probably the only guy that really plays swing on our team. Everybody else really just, they let it go as soon as the bell goes to compete. So we don't have a lot of problems with that. And we practice a lot of our practices. We don't always go out to Coldstream or Traditions. We don't always go out there to shoot a score. We have different tasks throughout the round that I provide them with. And these are things that we want to measure so we can measure your improvement, and also the player can see where they're getting better.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty pumped up. I wish you guys had an event, this spring. Maybe I can get down to Tennessee for the Vandy event. But
it's a great event. It's going to be. It's actually the field's going to be unbelievable there this year.
Maybe our money guy will send me down there.
That'd be great. We'd love to have you.
What's his name?
We got to find one.
I haven't met him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the chief financial officer of BCJ Media is a little unable to perform right now. So we're trying to get her back in the office. She's killing productivity.
I understand.
Before we let you go, though, I do want to. What is the best way for fans to track tournaments in live action?
So GolfStat is basically it's a live scoring app that we use, and so it's done two different ways. So when we start on Sunday, the live scoring will start as soon as we play, and so they will either cover it every 3 holes. So you play the first 3 holes, and then you give a volunteer, all right, I went 4, 5, 3 on the first 3 holes. They punch them in, or the players. We've been doing some different stuff this year with the players keeping it on their phones, and they do that every single hole. The GolfStat app is, unbelievable for parents who can't come and watch their kids. It's a freaking nightmare for me as a coach, just because we have 5 guys on different parts of the golf course, and I can't see the whole action. It's the one sport to where you can't watch every shot being played. And it is a nerve-wracking. Every time you hit refresh on that GolfStat, you're like, all right, bring me some good news.
I got to figure out who I got to go chase down.
Yes,
and
who I got to go chase down. Exactly.
Yep.
So, but we have a pretty good system with how we work a particular round. So my assistant and I will navigate the golf course. And in college golf, you can do basically whatever you want with the kids except hit the shot for them. And so we always have a game plan for us as to where we need to be on the course, where we see crucial holes or crucial shots that maybe they might need some advice from us.
Yeah,
the GolfStat's the way to follow.
I can imagine, you're playing a par 3 and you see 2 groups go through and they're all miss yardage. Everybody's leaving it 10 yards short of what the target is, and you want to be there to tell your guy, hey, like there's more wind here than it looks, or something like that.
Yeah, we had a hole last year, real briefly. We had a hole where we're going to next week at Colleton River. They had
great course, by the way.
Great course. There's an island green, and it's normally like a 160-yard shot, and the wind was blowing so hard they moved it up to where it was like a 115-yard shot, which is just unheard of for, men's golf to have a 115-yard par 3. But I got there and watched a couple of groups play the hole before we came through because I knew it was going to be a crucial hole. And I remember the look on my guys' faces when I told them, you're going to watch these other guys hit a gap wedge or a pitching wedge, and the ball's going to get out to where the green is because you're kind of blocked in this area where you're hitting the shot. The ball's going to get out there, and the wind is just going to move it across the green into the hazard. And I said, you can't hit it above the tree line. You've got to hit. So we were hitting 9 and 8 iron on this hole. It's 115 yards. And we just flighted our ball down. We made 1 birdie and 4 pars and just destroyed the field on that hole just because our kids, executed what I was telling them to do almost to perfection.
Chad, you got anything else?
Just great seeing you. Wish you nothing but the best of luck this week in Puerto Rico and in the spring season. And it's kind of fun to feel the weight of expectations, right? Like as you built this thing up, it's got to feel great.
No, I love it. And I've always had high aspirations for this program. I finally have, some guys that really want to compete. They have no fear and they want to get better. And so, I'm perfectly okay with the expectations because we're so laser focused in on every day and what we do every day. And that's what's important to us, not looking into that's for other people to look at the future. It's our job to stay focused in on each day and what we're doing. But
and
I appreciate you seeing the future for me.
That's what I'm here for. Finally, what's the biggest difference between Mick and Wes? Like, obviously their temperament in practice is a little different, but what do you see from Wes when you watch his practices that make you think this guy's going to be the right guy?
I think what I like about Wes and again, Mick is one of my favorite friends. When Mick walked inside that gym down in the basement at Linder, his guys knew what was coming, and he could be on you like flies on stink for 2.5 hours. What I like what Wes does is Wes gets after him, but then he comes back, and I don't want to use the word coddle, but he comes back and
loves him up a little bit.
Yeah, he pumps him up a little bit. Where Mick, it was one way. And it was one way in that gym for 2. And again, I think if you take a look at what Mick is doing at UCLA, and if you would have told me what he did at Cincinnati would work at UCLA, I wasn't sure that it would with 5-star players. But these guys freaking love him. And I talk to Mick all the time. And, I see Wes as, I think he's put together a nice staff. I think his staff is good. I think once we start to see these players coming in, the new wave of players coming in, I think you're going to see a different level of basketball. And again, without those players, we don't have a chance in the Big 12 because of where the Big 12 is basketball-wise right now. I mean, you look at the Big 12 and you say, okay, where can you go on the road and win?
Central Florida.
Right. So, but I'm just talking about I'm talking about the real teams in the Big 12. I'm talking about the K-States, the Kansas.
I know.
Like it's like, where are you going to go play in an easy environment? There are none. And that's where it's going to be, I think, so important for our people to make Fifth Third even better than what it's been.
Yeah.
If it could be like this year's Xavier game, every game, we got something.
It's going to have to be.
It's going to have to be. It's going to have to be. And
I always say that when Mick got mad, Mick would be mad for 2 days.
2 days.
Like when you saw that switch flip and you knew Mick was mad, it could be Monday. Mick wasn't going to be in a good mood until Wednesday.
Right. No, that's a fact.
Wes gets mad. I've seen Wes get furious.
Absolutely.
But it's in like 4 minutes. It's like, okay, well, I yelled at you. You corrected what I yelled at you about.
Right.
And now we're good. Like, all right, mission accomplished. Like
I agree.
We got to the finish line.
That's the biggest difference I see. And
it's what I've talked about from his first practice I watched.
Yep. I love them both. Yeah, I love them both. Yeah. Have a lot of respect for both of them.
Yep. All right, man. Well, go enjoy Puerto Rico as much as you can.
I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the support. You guys do a great job. I listen to a lot of what you guys do, and our fans are really fortunate to have you guys to really portray our programs the way you do. And as a coach in the building, it's appreciated greatly.
We appreciate that, and we love getting you guys on and giving as much support as we can. We had Coach Googs a couple of weeks ago to preview baseball. You here to preview golf. Like we're trying to spread the love as much as possible.
Well, I love it. I appreciate it, and thank you guys for the time.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you, Coach.
Take care.
Bring home a trophy.
Yep. See ya. Bye-bye.
There you go. Doug Martin, head golf coach at the University of Cincinnati. And people don't understand, Dave. Like if it wasn't for the back injury, we might still be talking about him on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I mean he finished in lost the playoff to Vijay Singh at the 1995 Buick Classic 6-hole playoff. Had 2 professional career wins on, I think, what was called the Nike Tour at the time. Now it's the Korn Ferry Tour, so right underneath the PGA. But yeah, I mean, just an incredible amateur career to be the number 1 player in the country, to win a national championship, to win 5 individual titles, runner-up in the NCAA tournament. Like, awesome player. And this team, man, like, people don't realize, because you just don't follow college golf unless you're like really into golf. Like, they're a premier program. They're a top 30 program, which is a premier program. Like, I'm not going to say should, because it's hard, but like they have a great chance to win the conference, and I don't know how exactly the NCAA tournament works and everything, but they've got a shot to make the NCAA tournament. So, and moving into the Big 12 is only going to help them from a recruiting standpoint. Even with Texas and Oklahoma leaving, there's still a lot of good programs in there. Oklahoma State's been a great program. Texas Tech's a good program. Kansas State's in the top 30. So a lot of, and like you said, they have a super young team outside of Sam. Pretty much everybody that contributes is going to be coming back. So a lot going on with golf. Are you there?
You've got to be kidding me.
What am I kidding you about?
I told you I bet money line Penn State, Ohio State.
What happened?
And it ended. Penn State won 75-71, but Ohio State got 5 looks from 3 in the same possession in the final 15 seconds.
Oh, well, you still won.
Yeah, they still won, but it was just like annoying.
And I won.
Very annoying.
I had Penn State getting 2.5 because I asked why were they getting points.
Yeah. I went money line. I'm still not.
Well, that's even better. You're getting plus money then.
I know. I'm not. I'm still starting to like get accustomed to this whole gambling thing. It's not something I've ever done. I'm comfortable picking who I think is going to win. Spreads are not my thing, right? Like I'm not ready to dabble into giving anybody points or take. Like I'm just going to bet the game.
Yeah.
I thought
but that's hard. That's hard though, because if you think someone's going to win, but they're giving a lot of points, your payout's going to be virtually nothing.
I know, but I'll get there, Dave. But
I will guide you. Just don't listen to Brent Young.
I heard Brent owes you $20, huh?
Yeah, well, yeah. I made the bet, so no one owes me anything. But he certainly led me into making it.
Download BetFred on your phone or go to the website betfredsports.com. Use promo code Bearcat for your Bearcat Journal promotions, while also supporting us here at BCJ. We appreciate that. Thank you. All right, where you want to go? You want to go basketball? You want to go football?
Sure, whatever. Basketball was last night. We can go there.
Yeah, you took the youngster.
Yeah, he had a good time. We made it to halftime.
It's pretty good.
But, yeah, it was good. It was a good time. He caught a Skyline gift card.
Nice.
Which I used today. No, he doesn't get to use it. So no, it was a good time. Got to sit in the big dog seats because mom's out of town. So
I looked for you before tip, but I didn't see you.
We were probably getting food for the 50th time.
He likes the food at the games, huh?
He just likes food in general. Always got to be getting something.
What did he get? What was the Will menu?
Oh, pizza, goldfish crackers, chips, M&Ms. I think that was it.
It's a good thing you had your mom's seats. You probably would have been broke.
Oh, we still had to pay for it all.
I know, but I mean, you didn't have to pay for the seats. They were your mom's seats.
No, yeah.
Unless your mom made you.
No, she did not.
Lance was talking Buc-ee's tonight. So
Buc-ee's,
I chimed in with Buc-ee's.
Oh, yeah, Buc-ee's is great.
What's your go-to at Buc-ee's?
Brisket sandwich is good.
Sliced or chopped?
I'm a sliced guy.
I am too. If the brisket's good, I want sliced.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want you to chop up all that moisture. And like, I like the slices if it's good.
Yeah.
If it's bad, you want chopped.
If it's morning, I love all the different tacos. Breakfast tacos.
Yeah, the brisket breakfast taco.
Gotta get some beef jerky.
I'm a sweet and spicy beef jerky guy.
Yeah.
They have elite beef jerky because it's not like you don't have to rehydrate it in your mouth.
You know what they have incredible of that I'm not sure how many people get? Their chocolate chip cookies are ridiculously good.
Are they?
Yes.
I'll have to put a cookie on the list next time.
They come in like the pack of like 6 or whatever.
That's fine.
Like the Saratoga type kettle chips. I like those.
I like their double cheddar, like they're basically Cheetos, but they make their own, and they're double sharp cheddar. Very distinct flavor to them. They're very good.
But yeah, I mean, it's great. You can get
their barbecue sauce is very good.
Barbecue sauce is good. Have you had the sliced turkey sandwich?
I've had the club. The club is awesome.
I like smoked turkey. That's a good one too.
Yeah, their club with the smoked turkey is very, very good.
But no,
they also
can't go wrong at Buc-ee's.
If you go over to where they sell some spices, and they sell Meat Church spices. They have Holy Gospel, Holy Voodoo, and I think the Holy Cow at Buc-ee's, which are phenomenal.
We're since we're down this road, I'm a big fan of mixing the kind of whatever the Meat Church kind of like traditional rub is.
The Holy Gospel.
With the porker, the honey kind of porker one.
Honey hog, yeah.
Yes. Yes, Brian, welcome to the Food Network. You're talking to if I said my everything that I ate today, people would be like, "Oh my God, how are you alive?"
Let's have it.
It was not a good day.
Spill it.
Nope, I'm not doing it. We're talking basketball now.
1 second.
But anyway, Bearcats got the win last night in overtime. Big win, had to get it. I really did not want to come on today and discuss another game where you're up again 7, around 2 minutes to go, and can't close it out. So I'm very, very happy, mainly just for my own personal space on this podcast, that I do not have to talk about that. But big time performances, especially in overtime from Landers Nolly, and at this point in the season, like, you're trying to stack wins. We know you've had a couple where probably should have, could have, would have gotten away from us, but I think maybe a lesser team, maybe a less veteran team could have possibly fallen into the woe is us, not again, we blew another game, and not been able to gut that out in overtime, because for the majority of overtime, for the first 3 minutes or so, it was back and forth. Like, they needed every basket that they were getting. It wasn't like they just put the hammer
Nolly
down.
for 2, done for 2. Nolly
Right.
for 2, done for 2.
So, you have this veteran team, and this team that unfortunately had been in that situation before. So it was nice to see that, none of those old thoughts or whatever crept in, but, puts them in. I mean, they only have 2 games left. Most teams in the league have 3 games left because they don't play for a week, but it certainly seems like it's going to be them and Temple in that 4-5 game.
I mean, that comes down to Sunday. Really?
I mean, Memphis still has a 2-game lead, and
Yes, but Memphis plays Cincinnati.
Yeah.
If you win that game, Memphis has to play Houston. So if Cincinnati wins
Yeah.
out, if they win the next two, and Memphis also loses to Houston to end the season,
Well, then you got to go into tiebreakers.
Cincinnati has the tiebreaker in that scenario because it goes to like record against the top teams.
Yeah.
They would both be 0-2 in that scenario against Houston. Cincinnati has a win over Tulane. Memphis doesn't.
Oh, did they play Tulane twice?
Yeah.
No, I thought Memphis beat Tulane at home. Tulane won that game?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, I thought Memphis did. But either way, this isn't the Memphis or Tulane podcast. But no, I mean, you got into a game where it was a weird game because for about
Tulane won 96-89 on January 1st at Tulane, and then 90-89 on February 4th at Memphis. So Tulane
so they won both.
Swept, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, then I guess it's not a foregone conclusion. But UC also has now Memphis does have a starter or at least a key contributor that's now out for the season.
Yeah.
And
did you hear why?
Oh yeah, he punched something and broke his hand.
He punched the wall in the locker room after the Houston game, broke his hand.
Yeah, and then Kendrick Davis, I guess, is he still out?
I can tell you.
I know they played
right
tonight.
Now.
Is he playing?
He is playing. He has 14 points in 26 minutes.
I guess he's fine.
Yes. He's 5 of 10 from the floor, 2 of 3 from 3, and made both free throws.
I mean, you're missing the guy that averages almost 10 points a game on Sunday, so. Yeah. And I wouldn't say that they're a super deep team.
I mean, they play way deeper. I mean,
they play, but like they're kind of a 3-man.
Yeah, but they can wear you down a little bit just by being able to get guys a little bit more rest than most. Kendrick Davis and DeAndre Williams don't come out really at all.
Right.
But everybody else, they do rotate pretty heavily.
So, but yeah, I mean, the game last night, it was interesting because at one point I looked up and with about 8 minutes to go in the first half, Tulane was slashing 73, 40, and 100.
Temple, you mean?
Or Temple.
Yeah.
But yet we were only down, I think at that point, like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And then they got, they played much better defense at the end of the first half and kind of were able to get the lead. But then in the second half, it just, every time we would try to run out, something would happen. They'd get,
those officials were terrible last night.
They were, but but they gave them so many opportunities to keep the game close. Like they, I sent that tweet out. Like Tulane hadn't scored, made a field goal for over 6 minutes, and we were still only up 5. Like that's a situation that you've got to be able to take advantage of that at home in a game that you need to win. You can't let that happen. Like regardless of if you're not getting calls or whatever, like you can't have a team be able to keep it within striking distance over 6 minutes without making a field goal.
A lot of free throws.
Well, we made a lot, which I mean that's what kept them in the lead.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, just that's what allowed them to kind of hang around is they weren't getting buckets, but Damian Dunn was going to the free throw line pretty regularly.
Right.
And didn't miss. I mean, he was in his bag, as the kids say.
Right.
Last night. And I thought for the most part they defended him pretty well. Outside of some of the foul stuff, he just made a bunch of tough mid-range stop, hand in his face. Yeah, Dave just called Temple Tulane.
Well, we have about 3 more weeks of ever having to make that mistake again.
Yeah, we're gonna have to ask Tobler if UC can add punchable walls, like styrofoam, or put the noise foam on it.
Right.
So if you hit it, your hand doesn't break.
Well, just don't punch it. How about that?
Yeah, that's probably the best suggestion. But a lot of gutty performances last night because outside of overtime, Landers didn't play particularly well. Dave didn't shoot it particularly well, but they still both managed to get their way up to 20. Jeremiah didn't have a great shooting night. He had his only 2 threes, but
he didn't really get many looks, though. I mean, it wasn't like
Temple made them play in isolation, and when they play in isolation, the ball's not moving, and then, I mean, that's when JD is going to be at his best, is catch and shoot, because the ball's popping. Temple overplays passing lanes. I thought UC did a really good job exploiting that, adjusting to that, and playing downhill more than they're accustomed to, which a defense that's overextending and trying to push you back, you can get downhill a little bit on them, even if you're not a team that particularly plays all that well downhill. There was still a point in time, like, they were terrible from 2 through most of the first half. They just hit enough threes to hang around. But they got to the line, they made their free throws, and 30 free throws, regardless of the fact that they went 28 of 30.
We've gone like
30.
We've gone like 3 games in a row without getting to 30 combined.
Right. So I thought there was really good game plan execution. They did what they had to do to make Temple pay for. This has been a problem that Temple has presented in all 4 games that they've played in the Wes Miller era. And I thought last night they did a good job kind of exposing for the first time Temple's defense for the way that they were extending and overextending.
Well,
you saw in the beginning, they were high hedging almost all the way out to half court on ball screens. So they were trying to take the ball screen away. Dave started probing a little bit more. Just really good execution of game plan.
Well, it helps when you have a guy like Daniel Skillings that
not on the scouting report, essentially.
Well, but I think that's why that's been hard for them to combat the way Temple plays, is like they don't have they haven't had the athletes to take advantage of a team playing that way.
Right.
And Dan has shown the ability, and especially last night in the first half, like almost to reckless abandon trying to get to the basket, which I'm 100% cool with, because like you're not going to get anybody to stop hard denying and stop the way they play defense if you don't have anybody that can even challenge that philosophy. And so that's where, whether it's him, whether it's some of the guys coming in next year, like just the overall level of athleticism has to, we know it does, but like he showed last night, like what that truly means in an in-game setting, because it's just so much different and so much easier to play defense when you're not scared of somebody just flat out athleting you and getting to the basket regardless of what you try to do.
Right. Like nothing you do matters. I'm going to get there.
Right. We don't have any of those guys except for him, really.
Yeah. Landers and Dave can both get downhill. They just have to stop at 10 feet.
Stop, and they need like a I don't want to say running start, but like Dan can take it on the wing at almost like a standstill, and that first step is such a big step, and he's so quick with it that he already has the advantage. Like Dave can gain the advantage, but it's almost like he needs to be on the move,
put you in a blender, hit you with the crossover, and then get downhill.
He's not catching it on a reversal and then all of a sudden blowing by somebody. But no, I mean, we know what this team is at this point. It's about winning these games in conference, positioning yourself as best you can for the conference tournament, and you just see what happens in a 3-game series. And they have deficiencies, but you know what? They also shoot the 3 a lot, and sometimes they shoot it really well, and that's the type of team that is able to go on a run.
Yep.
Because they typically don't turn it over a lot. They can get hot. They have some shot makers, and that's all you really, can ask for at this point in the season.
It's funny, they're essentially kind of a mid-major, right? Like in terms of construction, in terms of like they're a jump shooting team. They pass it well. They can play solid defensively in enough stretches to make it difficult or at least keep the score
Yeah,
down enough.
In a one and done situation, they're a team that you don't want to play.
They're kind of like those pesky old mid-major teams that you bump into in the tournament.
Yeah, like a very veteran team that would roll through their conference, and you play them in a 12-5 game, and they're not afraid of you. They got 22, 23-year-old dudes that can shoot it, and they just never go away, and you don't make some baskets, and then all of a sudden they're in the game with 5 minutes to go, and you're like, how is this happening? And the entire gym, I mean, we've been in that situation when we've been on the other end of it. The entire gym is now rooting for you, and this won't happen in the conference tournament, but this is the type of team that you see in the NCAA tournament. Like, the entire gym now is rooting for you, and everybody gets, a little more tense and a little more nervous. And I'll in a tournament setting, I'll always take a team that can get some buckets than a team that is going to lock you down. I mean, we obviously saw that with Mick.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that right now as a Tennessee fan. Their offense is just a disaster. Doesn't matter if you hold teams to 50. Like, if you can't, somebody's going to end up at 63, and if you can't get there, then you're going to lose. So we'll see. I mean, you guys still got to go on the road and beat a good Memphis team, close it out at home, and then just kind of see what happens. Outside of Houston, like, neutral court, none of these teams UC can't beat.
No, they've beaten Tulane, and they should have beaten them twice. I would worry, like, seeing Temple again does worry me, just because that style of play is obviously a problem at times for this team. But I mean, they were in the mid, they were at 70 at least to start when they started overtime.
Yeah, 70. It was 75-75.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I like where they're trending. I like where things are heading. I like that they've gotten over this hump, because look, we've talked about it. Like, winning is learned, and this is not a team that has won at a high level over the last 4 years, and it's not a group of guys, even the transfers, that have done a lot of winning in their careers. Maybe the one guy that has is Rob, and Indiana wasn't exactly great. They just played in a lot of really close games throughout his career at IU. So he's at least been in those settings. It's not a team that's won a lot. So now you're starting to look at a team that's figuring out how to win. I think you go into the conference tournament of, get these next two if possible. What are you looking at?
How is UCF ahead 3 spots ahead of UC and KenPom?
That I don't know.
They're 15 and 12. Every metric is worse. Like, they're worse offensively. They're a little better defensively. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
No.
But yeah, I mean, you have Memphis. Like, I still don't even think Tulane's. I think Tulane's behind them. Like, they're 4th in KenPom.
In the league?
I think so.
Huh.
Yeah. Because Houston's 1st.
Clearly.
Memphis
is Houston still number 1 overall?
Yeah, in KenPom, yeah.
Yeah.
Houston's 30, or Memphis is 37th. UCF is 64th. UC is 67th. Tulane's 84th. Wichita's 113. Temple's 115.
Tulane's 84th?
Yeah. They're 4th in the country in adjusted tempo. I don't feel like they play that fast.
They get shots up quick. I think the other thing that impacts that is they don't try to defend at all. Like,
no, they're 107th defensively. That's not, like, atrocious.
Yeah, but I'm talking tempo.
Right, like
they're not trying to sit down and
they're trying to get the ball back.
Yeah, they're not trying to force shot clock violations. They're trying to get up and down. So, yeah. It's going to be an interesting stretch run for sure. I do think they have done a good job answering the bell on, a collapse at the end of the season, quote unquote. Right? They knock off UCF on the road. They beat Temple at home. They're at least playing with some momentum. However, this thing does finish.
Memphis is tied at halftime with Wichita.
No, it's 69-62 Memphis.
Oh, this was. I'm going through Twitter. That was like an hour ago.
69-64 Memphis, 5:25 to go. Davis still has 14, DeAndre Williams 16. Like, it's a two-man team.
But yeah, it didn't just totally melt down,
right.
after ECU.
Yeah.
So,
and last year that's what they saw. Like, it just fell apart.
Now
they
you're not alone.
Yeah. I don't know. They ran a set to get Dave the ball. Temple triple teamed him on the inbounds. Didn't let him get the ball. I don't know what else really, with 10 seconds left, you want Landers to do there. He has shown he's not a super great passer, like trying to play downhill. He's a really good passer, but he's not. Hold on. He's not a great passer, like in traffic.
Yes. No, I don't. There's obviously still things that they could be better at, but
sure. But in that setting, like the primary goal was clearly get the ball to Dave, and Temple knew it.
I think, like, to me, the bigger issue was the possession before when you're up 3. Like, I have more nitpicking and more, more consternation to that, in the sense of, like, we had 2 timeouts. I get the whole, like, don't call a timeout because you don't want them to, like, set up their defense. But I'm of the thought, like, you're up. It's not a tie game. Like, you're up 3. Make sure you're running the very best set, play, whatever you can run. And when you see that it's not going the way you want it to go, then call the time. Like, you don't have to call it right
which he's
away.
Done
but
before.
Like, when you see that, like, okay, I was going to let him kind of play it out, but it ain't going to work doing that. So let's call the time, because all you needed there was you shot plenty of free throws, so they could possibly call a foul. Get the ball to like, it's not a win the game type situation.
It's extend the lead.
It's basically win the game by scoring. Extend the lead, not like we need a basket to force overtime, or we need you were going to get it back again, which they did. So I kind of maybe would have played that part of the game a little bit differently. The very end, whatever, it is what it is. But no, but it's the same stuff. The team, we know the limitations, and you just kind of got to do your best. And I think a lot of guys have stepped up, and Vic clearly, whether it was the fouls and not practicing, like, he wasn't in any sort of rhythm, and they didn't.
He had a good stretch in the middle of the second half where it was like, okay, there's Vic.
Yeah, but him not being in there didn't kill him. So, you see what you can do in these last 2.
Yep, Memphis up 70-64. Oh, that would have drove you crazy. Memphis up 69-64, and Wichita goes to the line and misses 2 to cut it to 3? Cut it to a 1-possession game with 4.5 minutes to go. Okay, let's get to football.
All right.
Two coaching changes this week, 1 last week since we were last here. Tell everybody why they should absolutely freak out, panic, and lose their mind because there were coaching changes in February.
I can't do that.
Well, Dave, damn it. You're supposed to be the voice of the fan. The fans want blood.
I can't tell them to freak out because I don't know what are you freaking out about.
Losing 3 coaches in a week in February.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not like losing 3 coaches on a bye week in October. It's February.
I just think like UC, because of this, like there was such great stability under Fick for a couple years. They have forgotten that this is a period where a lot of stuff happens in the coaching world. Because NFL, this is when NFL jobs get filled. Guys, all it takes is one guy to leave the college ranks to go to the NFL, and then the chain reaction hits of everybody pinging their way up the ladder.
It's the profession, man. They get promotions. You just hear about it because you follow sports and it's on Twitter, and like it's not any different than, I mean, they got promotions. They, whether you want to call what Derek Nicholson got a promotion, I don't know if he's making more
I think
money.
that was probably more going home than.
I mean, he played at Florida
else.
State. He's probably, I don't know if he's from Florida, if he's
He is.
But like, you could go to Miami, like whatever. But like the other ones, Tom Manning had been in the NFL. He clearly wanted to go back to the NFL. I'm not going to begrudge a guy for that. And Greg Gasparotto got to be a defensive coordinator. Like, you're going to be like mad that he gets to be a defensive coordinator at probably, coach. Okay, so here's the other thing about that. He goes to Troy, where John Summerall, I would have been very happy if UC hired John Summerall to be their coach.
Yes, you were very high on John Summerall.
So he goes to be the defensive coordinator at Troy. If they have a good year this year and John Summerall gets a job in the SEC next year, who do you think his defensive coordinator is going to be?
Or the head coach at Troy.
Or the head coach at Troy, possibly. Yes. So, like, you kind of have to look at, like, when they're making these moves and changing these career paths. Like, what is it lining them up for? Like, I would absolutely want to go be a coach for a guy that I think is a rising star and still in his whatever, maybe late 30s, early 40s, and just had one of the best defenses in the country and is now, probably one of the best G5 teams in the country next year. And then we'll see where it goes after that. Like, I don't get too worked up about it. Like, it happens. Like, is it ideal? Of course not. You can't tell me. I'm not going to sit here and say that, like, oh yeah, they're replacing them with even better coaches. Like, I can't say that. One, because I don't know, or two, it's probably not being honest. Like,
three guys that left all got promotions, raises, right. Like that,
So, yeah, I don't get too much into it. Like, I've never met these guys. I'm not going to judge them on too much on, like, the guy, coming over from Virginia Tech. That roster was an absolute dumpster fire. I don't really care what they did or didn't do on offense last year. Now,
the actual word out of Blacksburg is, as they gave him more responsibility, the offense did improve.
Great. I mean, their quarterback play was atrocious. That could be on them for recruiting that transfer from Marshall. But, we've talked about it when Fick was here. Like, the next step was to get better players.
Yes.
So, like, it's not – you can't then revert back to the coaches. Like, they got to get better players. Yes, it matters who the coaches are, but, like, it's still on them to get better players.
You're not going to be a good coach with bad players. I don't care how good of a coach you are. That's not how it works. Like, there's never been a coach that's won with a bunch of bad players. Never once.
Not that I can. Well, how many? Well, I'll keep that to myself. But Lamb Big asked me what kind of golf clubs I use and what kind of putter guy are you? When I was good, I played Mizuno irons, and now I play TaylorMade because I hit it all over the place. And then I am a I think I have an Odyssey Spider 7, so it's not really a blade or a mallet. I guess it's kind of a mallet. But yeah, that's what's in the bag. Always been like a tailor-made woods guy. So for all the like 4 or 5 times I actually get to tee it up anymore. So we're gonna need to have Doug get me out there with those guys. They could learn a thing or two from me.
Yeah, what not to do. MW2 Top G. I think I could be wrong here, but I think you're about 15 minutes behind the live show. And no, I would not want to see UC add Temple to the non-conference. A hard pass.
No.
Because Temple is that team every year that they'll get 1 or 2 scalps in the non-conference and then lose to like Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah, didn't they? I mean, they do it all. They've done it several times.
They beat Rutgers and Villanova, I think, this year in the non-conference, and then lost like 5 disaster games. Is he getting Dave? Is Coach Martin getting BCJ Bearcats head covers? We didn't ask him that.
I don't know. We'll have to look at. I want a golf bag, a towel. Cleveland.
What wedges do you have?
Cleveland.
We've got a Cleveland wedges. Okay. What wedges do you carry?
I carry a 60, a 55, and a 52.
Which one do you default to?
The 52. I like.
Yeah,
the
everybody's got a favorite wedge.
I like the gap. Oh, I almost got my irons laying big. I wish I had known this. I was down to the TaylorMades and Strixon irons, so I might have gotten Strixon if I know I could get a set from you.
Maybe you guys can work on that offline. Just
That's
hit
right.
him up. Hit him up on the BCJ.
I play so much, I definitely need an alternate set of irons.
We need BCJ golf merch. It sounds like Lambig is the one to go to for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, get just some shirts, golf shirts.
We are 10 days away from spring ball, Dave.
We are. I'm excited.
Are you planning on getting down as much as possible?
Oh, well, yeah, for sure on the weekends and everything when I can.
I would say next week will probably be our spring ball preview show.
Yes, I think that's fair because there's no basketball game either.
Right. So we're gonna have to dive into to football pretty deep next week. I ran into Carey today on the elevator.
How's he doing?
He's doing good. He agreed to come on with us at some point here in the near future.
All right.
Nothing specific yet, but you know.
Good deal. But yeah, we'll have plenty to get into. We got the combine is next week.
Are you excited?
Starts a week from today. Yeah, I'm always excited. I got that NFL Plus subscription ready to roll on the iPad, so while I'm working, I can check out all the guys running around and doing all their fun stuff that has nothing to do with real football, but whatever.
Anything else you want to get to tonight?
Yeah, let's talk about how all of a sudden some ADs in the Pac-12 are talking, and the words that are coming out of their mouth don't sound too confident.
No, it does not.
I think it's very interesting that they put out that statement. We're all together, blah, blah, blah. And then now you have the Washington State AD basically saying, like, a deal needs to get done. And then today, the Arizona State AD, who, not for nothing, is a total piece of work, and I don't really believe anything that he says. But he said some stuff that was just... Like, I'll just read a little bit of it. He says, like, the context of this is he says that he can't speculate, but he says this right after he speculated. So Anderson, though, believes a resolution is on the horizon with the Pac-12's current contract with ESPN and Fox ending after the season. The ASU leader said that he could see a media deal close in the next 2 to 3 weeks, but then says, assurances is a very strong word. Guarantees, assurances. Can you promise? I can't. I can't speculate. He just said that he can see it happening in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then says he can't speculate. But he had a whole article with a lot of interesting comments. One, it may not be the projections originally contemplated. So it sounds like these guys are finally realizing that George K might have been a little bullish on the market.
So I want your opinion. How much did the Big 12 screw them by going early to market and taking a shit ton of inventory from ESPN and Fox that I think George K probably thought that they were going to get, or at least get a piece of?
A ton. The reason they screwed them is because whether the Pac-12 wants to say that that they, took a deal they shouldn't have taken, like, it set the floor. It set the floor in the sense of, like, ESPN is getting all these games from the Big 12 while already having the ACC, while already having the SEC. Why would they give them more money than they were going to give the Big 12?
Right.
Same thing with Fox. Without the LA schools, Fox, it doesn't make any sense for them to be in the Pac-12. But, like, it screwed them just because it set a floor. It's like, you're not getting more than this. And he had said that he had told them they would be in the $40 million range.
Right.
And you're roughly $10 million higher than what the Big 12 ended up getting. And so those networks are like, we're not giving you that now. That's their deal.
Right.
So, it's just, it doesn't sound good. Again, I've been on the, I want to see it before I really can grasp how good or bad it is. But I mean, now you got Andrew Marchand reporting that Apple could possibly be in the mix, but Apple's only going to want it all.
Right. They're not coming for
what are
games.
like. Well, they're like, why would they want to share any of it with ESPN?
Right.
But
and ESPN's going to want the best stuff. ESPN's not going to want.
That
to
me
game.
Is their biggest problem is with Fox being out. They're going to have some element of it on streaming. Well, if you're Apple or Amazon and they're asking you for X dollars, you're going to say, okay, well, I want all of these games. But then they still want to play with ESPN, and ESPN's going to say, well, we're not in because why would we pay you this for this crap for these crappy other games?
Right.
I just want the deal to get done because we're kind of to the point now where it's like, now everybody's starting to talk.
Right.
Like, now you have all these leaks. You got 2 ADs coming out and talking about it. Like, they're not happy, or else why would they be talking?
Sure.
And if it was so great, it would. I just keep coming back to, like, if the money was there, the deal would be done.
They've been on the market long enough that if something was good,
they opened their negotiating window in July.
Right.
Or I guess technically August.
Right.
Right after,
had to do that. Yeah.
Right after UCLA and USC jumped at the end of July. I mean, my buddy John Wilner had a tweet from November saying could be in weeks. And I'm like, yeah, it's been 15.
Those two guys are the worst, right? The two Johns, Catazano and Wilner. Like they're gonna take the worst. They might take a worse hit from this than Washington State and Oregon State.
Well, they've just been talking about it for so long,
and they've been wrong,
and
so regularly.
Every whatever 2 weeks, month, they've had to come up with some new way of repackaging why it's not as bad as it seems. Like, I mean,
at some point, don't you just cut bait, Dave?
The streamers are losing billions of dollars a year in an effort to maybe be profitable by 2025.
Yeah.
40 million people have Apple TV. 24.5 million people have ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
76 million people get ESPN. Like, if you want, like, they're going to have to pick one or the other, and I think they're going to have to do it soon. Like, you're either going to have to go almost exclusively on streaming to get more money, but then it kills your visibility, or you're going to have to take less money to stay on ESPN and give streaming less than they probably want, which then goes back to what I said. Like, then why would streaming give you anything?
The Pac-10 needs the Bobs, not the Johns.
What exactly do you do here?
Great one, Brian. That's outstanding.
And a ton of this was in the works by Larry Scott, but now you're kind of to the point where, like, okay, now it is on George K.
Yeah.
To not be able to get a deal done and to oversell kind of what the value is going to be. And I posted this on the board. I'm interested to hear what you think. Like, what do you think the number would be where someone would legitimately be like, okay, this is too low, we're out of here?
20, 25?
I said like 25 and a half.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't think they want to leave, like, for numerous reasons. But like, if you're making $6 million a year less and your visibility is less, like, if you're Arizona, I'm not sure what you're doing right now. Like, people don't stay up that late. Do people realize how bad the Pac-12 is at basketball outside of them and UCLA?
I don't think so.
So, like, if they're stuck in the Pac-12, do you know how hard their non-conference schedule is going to have to be to make up for how bad their 18 games in the league is?
I mean, Dave, you could drop a down Gonzaga and St. Mary's in the Pac-12, and there's a good chance they'd be third and fourth.
Why wouldn't they be second or third?
UCLA and Arizona are.
I mean, like, moving forward. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm talking about right now.
Oh, yeah. The only other team that's halfway decent is USC.
Yeah, and they stunk to begin the year.
So, like, Arizona, you're a basketball program. You have a commissioner in the Big 12 that wants to monetize basketball.
Yeah.
At a much higher level. You have universities, athletic departments that care about basketball as much, and maybe in some cases more than football, which is a rarity anymore. Like, why are you beholden to these other Pac-12 teams just because you've played them for a long time?
Yeah.
I don't get that one.
I don't either.
I
can't wait until
we get our guy Jason on again, because he loves getting in them Twitter streets like we do, and
he gets in them way more than I do.
I'm sure he'd have some things to say about the way things are going right now.
I can't wait for MW2 Top G to catch up, because he's still 20 minutes behind talking about the basketball segment.
How is he chatting live?
I don't know how he's not
behind.
Well, yeah, I don't. Well, like, you just post a comment like as you're watching.
Oh, okay.
Like, he just is typing on post a comment and typing about what he's watching. It's just 20 minutes ago. GMAC says $8 million a year difference between Pac and Big 12 is what would cause schools to jump ship. I mean, $8 million a year is so big that's what the Americans gets. Like that's what the American gets is 7.5, $8 million.
Well, no, that'd be. I mean, they're getting 20 something now, like 21.
No.
Now.
But what I'm saying is the entire American cut is 7.5 million. Like that's what a whole conference is getting. If that's the difference between the Pac-12 and the Big 12, teams are gonna look to jump. If it's 8 million difference.
Oh yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the low 20s, I mean that's like basic. I mean, a very very small increase from what they're getting now. And obviously, you're losing it. You know, UCLA and USC, but you're also basically getting nothing else just for the sake of the deal is 10 years or whatever newer.
Right. It's going to be fascinating because I mean, there's a lot of people starting to say within like 6 months the Pac-12 is going to be dead.
I'm not ready to go that far, but like, I mean, at some point you either have a deal or you don't.
Yeah.
Like, at what point do all these media companies just go like, "Yeah, we're just not going to pay you what you want"?
We're getting there, right?
I mean, I feel like we're there, but like the Pac-12 clearly keeps trying to find someone who will pay them what they want, or they would have signed these deals.
Yeah.
Like, where is this just like all of a sudden things are going to... That's the thing I want to know. What are you waiting on? Like, what do you think is going to change? Like, ESPN, after laying off all these people and Bob Iger talking about having to be more selective, because if they wait too long, then the negotiation window for the NBA opens up.
Right. Well, you've got a bunch of like other leagues that are coming to market.
Oh, there's huge properties. WWE, NBA, NASCAR, UFC, all coming to market like within the next 6 months.
Yeah.
So if you're ESPN, are you paying the Pac-12 or are you waiting to get into the negotiation window for the NBA?
And they've done a lot of business with UFC.
Well, sure, they got tons of stuffs on ESPN, tons of stuffs on ESPN Plus. Yeah.
And they've got a pay-per-view side to it also, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, I just think it's like, you know, shit or get off the pot, man. Like your deal is your deal at this point.
Yeah.
Do you want more money to go heavy streaming? Do you want to take less money but have greater visibility? Could you imagine if we were in this situation and we were changing leagues and we're excited to change leagues, but then we were also then like, well, all our games are going to be on Apple? How's that going to help?
Right. I don't have Apple TV. Do you?
No. Not many people do. And apparently I saw an article today, fewer people like auto re-subscribe than any other like of the major streaming platforms. Because they say that there's not enough variety in content, which could be a bonus to the Pac-12, but how many of those people are going to stay on Apple just because they got the Pac-12?
Yeah, so basically people are signing up for one show, and then when that show's over, they're not renewing.
Right. They're not consuming everything that the platform has to offer, like a Netflix or an Amazon would.
Right. Interesting stuff. I think it's going to come to a head here shortly. I don't know when.
Well, I mean, I've been watching out for the conference basketball tournament. Like if they go to Vegas without a TV deal, and he's got to get up there and talk about what's going on, like what can you possibly say at that point?
And that's like 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, so I mean, Selection Sunday is the 12th.
Yeah, Selection Sunday is in like 18 days, whatever. Yeah. Ted Lasso. That's it. Everybody gets Apple TV for Ted Lasso. Then when Ted Lasso's over, they cancel.
Then you resubscribe.
Which is also why I've never seen an episode of Ted Lasso, unfortunately. I know that's going to probably get me stoned.
I've seen a couple. I don't watch TV in general.
I don't really either. I used to do a ton, but I don't have time for that anymore.
just watch sports.
Yeah, same here. I've watched some of the Star Wars stuff. That's really like the only thing I watch anymore. Like Andor was awesome. I don't know if you saw that or not, Dave.
No, I don't. Are you talking about Star Wars?
Yeah.
I've never seen a single second of any Star Wars.
I think you would like Andor.
Any
like
movie,
it has nothing to do with Star
any
Wars.
spin-off, never seen a second of any of it.
It was like a standalone thing. Like it's not really Star Wars other than it's done inside like the universe. But there's nothing about the Star Wars story that has anything to do with the show Andor. It was really good. Really good. And then you got Mandalorian coming back out next month. I'm excited for that.
All right.
Next month's going to be hell. Apparently, Mo's just not working in March.
I have NFL draft stuff next month, so and free agency.
Apparently, Mo. I might have to have you on a bunch next month. For real.
On what? The radio?
ESPN 1530.
All right. Oh, I have a guest. I have a guest lined up for us in the next couple weeks as well.
Okay.
Our good friend.
Share?
Yes, our good friend, now California resident, none other than Austin Gale.
Former BCJ employee.
Talked to him today. Told him that he'd be happy to know it was 75 and sunny in the Queen City.
And he's like, yeah, it's 82 and sunny in LA.
He'll be in Indy next week, but he said once he gets through all that, he'd be happy to come on and talk some combine and some draft.
Nice. Love me some Austin Gale. Miss having him around. He was always good to get on.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like I think I've got like 11 days in March filling in for Mo. So Mo's just not working in March, basically. He's taking like 2 to 3 days off a week the entire month of March. No, not Florida over California any day. Absolutely not. Nope. Too humid in Florida.
Yeah, I'm with GMAC. California don't do it for me.
I love.
I wouldn't go to. I don't really want to go to either, but
I love Cali. It's 75 and sunny every day. That's it for me. Just can't wait. 3 weeks left of this AAC conference. I can agree. Even though Top G is still talking about the basketball conversation, on that I can agree. Yeah, it's too Florida-y in Florida. I agree.
My personality in California doesn't really mesh too well.
You're more of a Florida man. I get that. You're more likely to end up in the headlines as Florida man, ...
I've spent some years in the South. I don't even know if I call Florida the South, but you know.
No, Florida's just Florida.
When you spend as much time as I have in Tennessee, it's you know.
Dave, I've spent almost my whole life in Kentucky. Like,
yeah, that's a you problem.
I know. I love it here. It's great. I love it here. All right, that's all I got. I don't really have anything else. Pickle, you got anything?
Nope, she's right over here. So
she hasn't gotten any like FaceTime on the camera today at all. She's walked past a couple times.
Yeah.
She just wasn't feeling diva-ish tonight.
No, I don't think so.
But all right, well, we'll see you next week. Should be a good one. We'll get some preview of spring ball, talk a little combine with Dave, and we'll see what goes from there. This is the BCJ podcast brought to you by the Holy Grail. There's our FaceTime right at the end. Right here on BearcatJournal.com.